With the iPhone 16 Pro, the focus is on cameras and Apple Intelligence. The problem is Apple Intelligence isn't quite here yet. We can test some features in the developer beta that's currently available, but that's not necessarily the same as the experience the public will get when the update rolls out in October. It's not unprecedented for new iPhones to launch without some marquee features, sure, and thankfully there is still plenty that the iPhone 16 Pro brings. From camera control, the Fusion camera, and other video related updates to slightly bigger displays and iOS 18, the iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max are intriguing successors, even absent the wanted intelligence features that are still to come. Even if you are not a glutton for buttons, there are still some camera updates that might intrigue you. This year's flagships sport what Apple calls a 48-megapixel Fusion camera, which has a faster quad-pixel sensor. This enables what the company describes as zero shutter lag, which is wording it has used repeatedly over the years. In this case, it's referring to how quickly the camera will capture a shot after you press the shutter button. I will admit I was initially confused by this update, in part because it requires relearning some behaviors I had adopted to mitigate the shortfalls of older cameras. Basically, the iPhone 16 Pro's cameras are now so fast that when I asked someone to throw something so I could capture it in motion to see how still the images were, my shots ended up being of the person holding the object. Our video producer and I were very confused, and it wasn't until the zero shutter lag concept was explained clearer to me that I got it. I had become used to pressing the shutter early, since cameras, in my experience, would be fractions of a second slow. Apple has become so fast that it actually captured the literal moment I tapped the button instead of the split second after, when the object was in mid-air. Depending on your mood, the new photographic styles can be fun or serious. Apple's tweaked the built-in camera filters to not only offer more options but give you greater control. Due to how the company has refined its processing each year, there is also an improved depth map captured when it detects a face in the scene. This, combined with a greater focus on color science around skin tone, has led to what might be my favorite new iPhone 16 feature. Whether I shot them in portrait mode or not, photos of people what I took using the iPhone 16 Pro were a dream to edit. Simply switching between the standard, natural, luminous, quiet, or ethereal styles already resulted in improvements to be colors and shadows, but I could also tap on each thumbnail to access the new editing touchpad and drag a dot around. This let me more precisely tweak the hues and contrast levels, and an additional slider below let me adjust how warm the image was. Apple's caution is sometimes warranted, especially at a time when mistrust of AI-generated content runs rampant. The company taking its time to get Apple Intelligence right is understandable, but its deliberation doesn't always lead to winners. While I appreciate the attempt to differentiate camera control with the touch sensor for more versatility, I am not yet convinced on its usefulness. The good news is, and I cannot stress this enough, you have the option to tune it to your liking, and that's the theme I'm seeing in recent Apple features that hint at more thoughtfulness than usual. If you don't like something or if something isn't right for your needs, you can adjust or disable it. In iOS 18, you have greater control over your home screen's app layout and can pin custom collections for easier reach. In the Photos app, the action button introduced last year could have been a spectacular fail had Apple not let you still keep it as a mute switch, but it managed to give people more functionality while maintaining the status quo for those who are just as resistant to change. Change is scary, change is hard, but without change there is no progress. Apple's cautious approach is a tricky balancing act that's evident on the iPhone 16 Pro. Some new features like audio mix and custom routes in Maps delivers mixed results, otherwise like photography styles are hits. Then there are the basic ingredients like good battery life and durable, attractive designs that Apple cannot neglect. The iPhone 16 Pro's subpar battery life holds it back from beating the competition, which is stiffer than ever this year, especially from Google. Luckily for Apple, most people who have iPhones are going to stick with iPhones. It's just easier. For those already sucked into the ecosystem, the iPhone 16 Pro are worth the upgrade from a model that's at least 2 years old. If you already have an iPhone 15 Pro, for the sake of our planet and your wallet, you might prefer to hold off on upgrading, especially since this year's devices aren't that much different.